All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Every Nation. I got my guy in here, not the first, not the second. Well, no, you are the second. The brother. I'm over here. I'm gonna say he's about to be a New York Times best-selling author because I'm gonna put that out in the universe for you. Glenn, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I am doing well. I am doing well. Thank you for the intro, and thanks to your audience for the time today.
Nah, no problem. So we're gonna dive into everything about how to get great dating outcomes in the modern world. And this is gonna be a good conversation because I just had a conversation with a bunch of black men about this the other day. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's been this this modern woman post about where you can't go on a first date, and the Cheesecake Factory was on that list. Have you seen this?
I've seen it. I did a reaction video to it at the end of last month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna dive into that later. But I was like, what in the world? What in Sam Hill's going on? But I need to get some background on this, sir, because
hmm
I looked throughout your career. You're an author, senior director, you're a founder of a consulting company. Uh,
hmm
um, and I was trying to follow the journey of how you got to where you're at. Can you share with me what inspired you to write this book, or how did you start in this journey? How did somebody go from the security industry and then
hmm
eventually write a book on modern dating?
Um,
How does that go?
yeah. So the security industry is just that is the employment. That's the career and that's the industry that I love.
Okay.
But to how we got to the book, it was a journey of my own personal experience. In the 2000s, I went through a tough divorce. And at the
Mm,
end of that divorce, I said, what did I do wrong and what do I need to be better at to be a husband if God has that for me next time? And so I went
mm,
through 2 years of therapy. In that
mm-hmm,
2 years of therapy, the outcome of it was my fault. It's 100% within my control. And there were some things that I overlooked, not only for myself, but from that
mm-hmm,
individual that led me to not be the leader and the husband I needed to be. So I then spent the remaining couple of years, becoming the best version of myself. That also
mm,
coincided with my total 20-year career. I have had the privilege of leading individuals.
mm-hmm,
I found that as I led people and they had more professional success, their relationship outcomes got worse. It didn't matter if they were a vendor, it didn't matter if they
mm-hmm,
were a sales rep on my team, it didn't matter if they were on another part of the business. They got elevated and things started going bad in their relationship or started going bad at home. So I said there has to be some correlation with this. So I
mm-hmm.
began coaching individuals on my team and coaching even the clients I had in my first iteration of my consulting practice on what I call the total man or the total woman. I don't want to just
Yeah,
talk to you about work. I want to talk to you about what's going on up here and I want to talk about what's going on here because
yeah.
that is what is going to lead to the successful outcome. And I
Mm,
found that what I was dealing with was something that people wanted. So you asked,
yeah.
let's fast forward. All right, so yeah, I'm doing this, I'm working, I'm having success, I'm being promoted and being elevated. I then meet my wife, and dating my wife, who I classify as a modern woman, was completely
Yeah,
different than dating in college and dating in my 20s. So there
yeah.
was some things that I had to discover and change. And that was the first iteration of this book that we're talking about today. I also
Nice.
wrote two other books because I was a leader. I had a sales playbook, a marketing
Uh-huh.
playbook, how to scale, sales enablement, stuff that no one will ever see because it was
Yeah.
awful. And so as I started going around the speaking circuit, the one thing that we all talked about as speakers were relationships. And I was like, I need
Yeah.
to write a relationship book because there's this theory in me that modern dating is leading to poor outcomes. And in my own experience, had I not adjusted, my wife and I wouldn't have made it. So I wanted to
Mm.
put it to paper. It was inspired. It was inspired by God and my own experience to launch something that could be lasting and that could lead to more conversations such as we're having today.
Yeah, so I need you because I'm thinking about modern dating, modern women. These are terms that might be new to folks. How do you define the what does it mean to be a modern woman, a modern woman or a modern man in today's society? And what is the ideal definition of modern dating?
Yeah. So let's just start by this. Modern dating is not bad. A modern
Okay.
woman is not bad, and a modern man they're not bad.
Okay.
The conversation in the relationship space is that anything modern with a man or a woman is all bad. That's just not
Hmm.
the case. And what I talk about in part one of the book specifically is how we got here. We
Okay.
got here to modern dating, where modern men and modern women are out here trying to figure it out because of changes that happened society in the 1960s. There was a
Yeah.
change and a breakdown of the family structure, and that had consequences down the line where we first started to see it in the 1980s. Won't go into it
Hmm.
here. By the book. It's available on Amazon. But with that, we started to see breakdowns of the relationships. And the thing that I like to highlight is modern men and modern women are men and women. In order
Yeah.
to get a great relationship outcome, which we define as relationship, one man, one woman, with long
Hmm.
term commitment, marriage, children, and legacy as the outcome, you have to be a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Let's take who are the loudest: females, city girls, males, city boys. Those four talk the most. They talk all on YouTube, they talk on
Yeah.
Instagram, they talk on TikTok, they react to videos and post about things they have no business talking about because they're not men or women.
Yeah.
And so we say that a modern man and a modern woman, by definition, for a modern relationship, is 50-50. It is
Yeah.
partnership based. It is 100% let's come to the table and negotiate everything. And
Hmm.
that is completely different than a traditional man or a woman and a
Hmm.
high value man and high value woman. A traditional relationship, as we define it, is a man who is responsible for all of the direction, the financial contribution. We call it the four P's. And the four P's are provision, protection, profession, and
Hmm.
priesthood. That
Hmm.
man directs, and the traditional woman is 100% dialed into: I'm going to follow, you're going to protect me, you're going to provide for me, you're going to give me the direction in the household, I'm going to execute it, and I'm not working while I do it. I'll make sure that the house is clean. I'll make sure that you make sure we have the resources. I will manage it out, but I'm not going to be focused on things of the modern status. I'm not talking to you about 50-50. I'm not talking about that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And what has happened in the space is
Hmm.
because people have had such bad relationship outcomes for the last 20 years, they have classified all women as modern women and they're all bad. All men as modern men and they're all bad. And that's just not the case.
Mm.
Most people are coming into contact with non men, non women, and they're what we talk about in part one and part two of the book as those four types that are causing the most frustration in the dating
Nah, when you're talking about this, what comes to mind for me is like, uh, if you get two modern people that are coming together, they both have their own, you know, values, expectations, careers, and so the challenge becomes in balancing, like at least
market.
in my mind, and I'm not sure if this is correct. So you'll probably educate me on that. And so, like, how do you in this new cycle start to really manage the challenge of maintaining professional success while navigating the modern dating world when all these you have all these layers and pieces now? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, so let's say so. Part of the work and the research that came into writing this book was communicating with individuals that we identified as high value, modern, traditional, and then city and male and female.
Hmm.
The rest of it for boys and for guys and gals, those two little small sub segments we don't really talk about much in
Hmm.
most spaces. But we find that the imbalance and the bad dating outcome happens when people are not like for like. Perfect example:
Hmm.
modern women. Stop dating the city boy and the male, and then when you come across a man, making him have the same characteristics. So you
Mm.
experience. So the negative thing that we hear in the market in the YouTube space: oh, she's a modern woman because she's been ran through and she's for the streets. No, she's dated two city boys out of college. She dated a
Mhm.
male who was living on her couch and driving her car. Now she's 33 and she's tired. So then
Mm.
she comes to a modern man and she's a modern woman and she got to navigate. Okay, is he going to be like Steve, Tyrone, and Chandler, or is he something different? So
Yeah.
he has to do more work The modern man
Uh-huh.
has to do more work with the modern woman to get the relationship outcome that he wants. That's not
Mhm.
bad. That's just the fact of the case. You're not going to be able to change it because of the point. Women,
Mhm.
like I say in the opening line in the book, women have more access to money, opportunity than any time in history. So
Mhm.
they're better qualified, better educated, better access, better networked. And so that's
Mhm.
why we're seeing more women in spaces doing better than the men that they would potentially have dated 25 years ago. It's not a bad
Mhm.
thing. She just has to be more discerning about who she's dating and also make sure that she's not bringing the baggage from those past relationships to the men who are coming correct. Then we have modern men who do the same thing. City girl, got a baby by her. You got a
Mhm.
gal who's just nondescript and inconsequential, who you can't shake. And then you got a female who has not overcome her emotional traumas, that she's
Mhm.
placing that burden all on you. You can't get to the next level in any of those relationships because you're misaligned.
Mm.
You're trying to move down the road and get to a modern relationship, traditional or high value. That person is stuck. So when we talk about professional success, that's
Mhm.
what we find is people are misaligned. To your point, if we have a doctor, a woman who's a doctor who has her own practice, her family practice, and then she meets a lawyer, that's already going to be a challenge because
Mhm.
they're both busy. So somebody's
Mhm.
going to have to take a step back, which is why I say the modern man and the modern woman are going to come to the table and negotiate everything. If they like each other
Mm.
enough, they're going to make that situation work because they recognize that they're both busy.
Yeah.
And then, so if you have a partner at a law firm, he's a partner, he's 42. He's worked hard the last decade, 2 decades to become the best version of himself in the legal community. He's built the relationships, built the network. When he meets a 33-year-old city girl, he's not, he can't take her seriously. He can't waste his time because he doesn't have time to waste. So then
Mhm.
he starts the negotiation of what we talk about are the four pillars of making sure you get the great dating outcome. First is, who is
Mhm.
he? Who am I? And I'm a 42-year-old partner at a law firm. I've worked to become the best version of myself. I have a great relationship with my family, no children, no debt, got my own house, 401ks locked up, cars are paid for, no credit cards. I'm doing well. Why would you take on the city girl? Because the
Mhm.
city girl is for the streets. Nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that. Just go be for the streets. City deserves the city. The streets deserve the streets. Go get you a city boy. Why would you
Mhm.
take on a female that has emotional traumas that have not been overcome by her? She has to do the work because if she doesn't do the work and she gets in a relationship with you, you're going to spend all of your free time dealing with those emotional traumas. And
Yeah.
he doesn't have time as a partner at his law firm to spend with that. So he has
Mhm.
to find him a modern woman, make himself traditional, get a traditional woman, or wait and accelerate to the high value status so he can get a high value woman that will understand his purpose and help usher in that purpose.
Now, is there any time in his transition or in his career and life cycle that a city girl could mesh with him?
No. And anyone in your audience would agree with that. City girls will say that because she gonna give. Let's be honest about the city girl. She got. I don't care. I don't care about your job. I'm out. You always sitting up here talking about what's happening at the law firm. I'm trying to go out. We going on our girls trip. I'm going to the DR. I will be
What if,
gone. Period.
I'm just saying, what if he's in this retirement phase? He just want to have fun.
That's different. We're talking about long term relationship outcomes, not fun.
Ah, okay,
This is for
okay,
adults. This is for
okay.
adults and for grown-ups who are serious about doing the work. And say, if you 42, part of the law firm, and you got divorced at 33, and you like, I'm good. Be good. Get the city girl. Now go ahead and recognize what you do with the city girl is going to be city. You're not going to
Right.
get a high value, traditional, or a modern outcome with the city girl. And
Gotcha.
reverse for the modern woman, because remember, the modern woman, she know what she keeps doing. She
Right.
she goes for charisma.
Uh
She
huh.
goes for conversation. I call them it's charisma, conversation, and chemistry, the three C's. And that
Okay.
is the male, and that is the city boy. Them boys can
Mm.
talk a good game. The city boy look good. He's swagged out. He hangs out. He got the body that she looking for. The intimacy is where she wants it, but he will not commit.
Right. Okay. You got this
Why?
down pat.
Why can't he? This is what they say. Why can't he just commit, girl? And then she talks to her girlfriends, and her girlfriends already know why she's still sticking with it. This too good.
Right.
Then she gets the male. The male cannot overcome and get into manhood. Men
Hmm.
establish themselves positively within the world. They extract value from the market by providing a high value skill. Males can't do it. They're always one call, one networking event, one investment away from getting to the status, and it never comes. And it
Hmm.
leaves their woman, whatever she is, frustrated. Why can't he just level up? Is what they
Yeah.
say. He
You know
can't.
what?
He's
I seen a conversation on Instagram the other day where these women were talking. Well, it was men and women. There's this podcast. I forget what it's called, Real Talk or something like that, where they be talking
mhm,
about different things. And they was talking about how a woman like that, what that has these ambitions, sometimes get with a good guy because Tyrone done dogged them out, and they get with the good guy and they
mhm.
settle, even though that's not what they want. And then this is why they'll end up, being unfaithful or leave at some point when, they have an opportunity to get with the Tyrone who, talks a good game, but he ain't committed. And this is why good guys sometimes lose in that situation. But sometimes they might win because she'll just settle and stay with that good guy until, kids are graduated and out of college and so forth. it, do we
That's
find that to be
awful.
true as well too?
No, I mean, I find that is awful because when you start talking about unfaithfulness, unfaithfulness is rooted in self and selfishness. So
Mhm,
if you get into a relationship where you quote feel like you're settling, you're automatically at a disadvantage, in my opinion,
mhm,
because you're always better looking a deal. I want something different. I loved Tyrone. He didn't love me back. So let me go get Steve. Steve is basic. Steve got a 9 to 5. He got a 401k, but there's nothing remarkable about Steve, but he's faithful. He's available. But because she hasn't matured, she can't get past her want for Tyrone. Tyrone is
mhm,
not going to identify and meet needs. Tyrone is not going to be the best husband and the best father. He's not going to provide long-term vision and strategic thinking. He just can't be the moral center of the house. He's just not
mhm,
capable of doing it because selfishness. So if you are still finding yourself looking for that stuff, that tells me you're not serious about a long-term relationship outcome. She is indeed settling, and the
mhm,
person who they're both settling. He know Steve should know in this situation she wants Tyrone, and Tyrone knows that she wants him, but she got Steve, and it creates a whole dynamic. I
mhm,
just think that people just have to be honest about one who they are, what they want, what they qualify
mhm,
for, and by knowing who they qualify for, know what they want from you. You do those four things and
mhm.
disappear for 6 months, guarantee people will have better relationship outcomes than what they're having today.
Nah. Now I'm curious because obviously you went through this process.
Mhm.
Um, Discuss some of the challenges and insights that you gained from going through your own process with this through your divorce and coming into what you have now, because it seems like you successfully balanced a thriving career. You've written about the
Mhm.
modern dating. you know what challenges did you face in this unique balancing act that got you to where you're at today?
Yeah, I will say that I've been every version of the man.
Mm,
So
speak on that.
it, yeah. So if you take a look about dating, and we consider dating 18 and up, we don't consider high school. I don't want to hear nothing about high school from anybody. So let's just say 18. 18 to 33 is the time period that I say for men. Men, put your head down, go develop a high value skill, go get your career on track, come back at 33, look up and check out the dating market. What happens for men is they get 18, they're still a boy. And
Hmm.
so their boyish pursuits drive them. They're still doing things and making decisions as an adolescent would. I
Hmm.
often say that for my first marriage, I picked what I wanted at 16, which was absolutely true. That's no
Hmm.
shade at that person. It is absolutely 100% shade on me. I picked
Hmm.
something that was a very superficial decision.
Hmm.
Now, you move from boy to, if you're good, you go right to male or modern man. But if you're realistic, you go from boy to city boy because boys don't get relationship or dating outcomes. You're the
Hmm.
last pick. Your last pick on the playground, your last pick in college. So then
Mm-hmm.
you transition to city boy. So you out here for the streets. You're partying, you're hanging out, workout, my money, sexual conquest, without concern for the other party. So you become a city boy. If you don't become a city boy after a boy because of your intimidation of the dating market, you become a guy. So my
Mm-hmm.
transition was boy to guy to male to city to modern.
Mm.
That makes sense for the audience? I'll say it again. I'll do it
So
slower.
so
So
so so define each of those transitions. So from boy, you still in the adolescent phase. You don't know what you want.
adolescent pursuits. I was dating like I was 16.
Okay.
I was trying
All
to
right.
get an outcome like 16, and I was stuck on things that boys are all about toys. Boys
Mm-hmm.
are all about their friend group. That was a boy. You can't, boys have no business dating.
Okay.
Boys
All
need to
right. So
be
then we go from
grown
boy to
guy. So as
guy.
a boy, you're not getting the relationship outcome that you want. And for the
Mm-hmm.
audience, you know this. If, depending on where you went to college, you want a delta, aka you got to be an alpha, a kappa, or a Q right at that moment. And if
uh-huh.
you ain't one of those three, all right, you need to be. Oh, you need to be in the Senate. You need to be running
Uh-huh.
for president of the school, the SGA. You need to be on the football team or the basketball team.
Right.
That's intimidating to the market. And what happens is you transition to guy. I'm just gonna be in the
Nah.
background.
So give me the difference between boy and guy. That transition. What's the
Boy
difference?
is yeah, boy is adolescent. Boy is adolescent thought, small thoughts. A guy is I am now mature. I'm moving into
Mm-hmm.
manhood, but I'm only focused on protection. I'm not going to
Mm.
try to be remarkable because I don't want to create a distraction. It's a protection mechanism for guys that are hurt. These are the guys are the gentlemen that you see from high school that did never had a date. So they
Mm.
go through their 20s and early 30s and they want remarkable outcomes, but they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do the work to get the remarkable outcome. So they
All
just
right.
settle.
Now give me the transition from guy to
Male,
male. All right. What's that
male,
transition?
male.
Guy and male.
The male's calling card is if only.
If only.
If only I could get the interview, if only I got an internship, if only I could get the job offer, if only I could get the funding, if only that, then the relationship outcome. If only she would communicate, if only she would understand, if only she would be supportive, if she wouldn't be so mean. Everything
Yeah.
is if only with males. There is an emotional trauma and a lack of maturity that allows you to take accountability
So there's no accountability at that standpoint
whatsoever.
because it's all
It's
about
everybody else's fault.
she didn't
This
meet
is the
the
group.
need. She didn't.
This is the
Okay.
group that frustrates modern women the most because they look like men, they sound like men, they talk like men, they act like men, they dress like men, but they're not men. They're always complaining about something, and they're the ones that, "Oh, can you not complain?" And one thing, guys, I'm just going to tell you: modern women, traditional women, high value, they don't want to hear your complaints. They want
Yeah.
to hear your solutions.
Now, for the male perspective, are they at the place of where they can provide provisions and protections,
Nope,
or they're still
nope.
figuring it out?
They're still figuring it out,
Okay.
which is why they're getting bad outcomes professionally and in their relationships. They're still trying to figure it out. They're always, I say in part one, they're always a meeting away. They're always a call away. They're always
Mm-hmm.
an event away, and it never comes. The funding never comes for their idea. The business never takes off the ground. They start and stop a lot of things because they haven't done the necessary work to build out the relationships, to build out the network, to get the outcome
Mm-hmm.
that they want.
All
And
right.
then a lot of the group has those traumas from their childhood and their young adulthood that they never address.
Gotcha. Now, male, we go from male to
Yeah, for me, you asked about my journey. You go from male to city. So after you're frustrated with being a male, you go to city. City is just I'm all about conquest. I'm
uh,
all about the streets. I'm all about what the next opportunity is, and I'm just
mhm,
gonna move through it. The difference between a city boy and a boy is the
mhm,
question I often get. A boy
mhm.
cannot afford his adolescent pursuits. A city boy can.
Ah.
And a city boy has prolonged adolescence. A city boy
Right.
will be 42 years old. Jays, basketball pickup game,
Mhm,
2K, Madden, the bar, so Twin Peaks and the local pub, hookah lounge. They're just out there living. Oh man, we about to run to Atlanta. We're going to Miami. We're going to the national championship game. Just like that. You don't have any
Hmm.
responsibilities. No, they don't. And if they do have responsibilities, they're not taking care of them. Well, she'll take care of that, especially if they got kids.
Right.
The city boy is what I say frustrates the most people because
Mm,
it's attractive to the most group of women.
mm,
They're just like, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like his. Ooh, he's so confident. Ooh, I like the way he look. Ooh, I like his body. Oh, he's on Instagram. Ooh, he always on a boat. Yeah, he not taking care of his money. He not taking care of his house. If he got kids, he ain't seen them. But that seems to be attractive to them.
that because it's all of it's the facade of
It's the facade of it. And
what
the
they.
city boy really believe this is their life. The city boy has crafted their life this way.
Mm,
I want to be this way because this is what I'm tired of dating. I don't want a commitment. I try to commit a couple commitments. It didn't go well in college. It didn't go well in a marriage. So I'm just gonna be out
mm, nah.
here. And the city boy does the most damage to the dating pool because women now, if they've dated a string of city boys and males, they're
Hmm.
frustrated with any
Nah.
man moving forward. And so every man after that, now this is where the complaint comes in. I got to overcome what Tyrone and Chandler did to you. I didn't do that.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter. They still went through it. You pursued her. You're going to have to
Hmm.
help. You're going to have to talk to her about this. And you're going to have to
Oh,
prove to her beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not them. That is what frustrates people in the date with the dating world right now with the outcomes that they're getting.
what type of man do you have to be to help a woman overcome that?
At a minimum, you have to be a modern man, traditional, or you have to be high value. But I say for
Mm,
modern, traditional, high value men, don't date anyone or be with anyone that's outside of those three: modern, traditional, or high value. If you're a traditional man, do not get a modern woman. You're gonna be frustrated. Both of y'all are.
mm,
Traditional men ain't having discussions about 50-50. Traditional men are like, I'm going to work, and most are kind of blue collar business owners. They
mm,
have their hands in everything. They don't have time to talk about dishes. They don't have time to talk about the laundry. You manage the social calendar. That's your job. Tell me where I need to be, and I will be there. I got to go
mm,
put in some overtime. One of the guys didn't show up for the HVAC company today. And it's like, so the traditional men get a bad rap because it's not careers that women
mm.
automatically respect, but it's
Yeah.
the careers that keep the world running.
Mm-hmm. And keep
Electrician, plumber,
look
HVAC, pest
it.
control, construction, general contractors. Those men are traditional. You'd be hard pressed. I'm in that. I've been in that space with those trades. None of those men have wives that work full time. They may work in the business, but most of them like, nah, she's. I need her at the
Yeah.
house with the 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
But modern
And I
women
think.
look at most times the other rub is modern women want a traditional outcome from their man without giving tradition themselves. That's why it doesn't work. If you're a
Yeah.
modern woman, you know who you are, you know what you want. You don't qualify for a traditional man. You qualify for a modern man at best. So go find you a modern man who's willing to do 50-50, who's
Yeah.
willing to hear out this list that y'all talking about online about, all right, I know I can't take her to the Cheesecake Factory. Let me go ahead and do Il Molino's. All right, she don't want to do Il Molino's.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and do Red Rooster in Harlem. Okay.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Like let's talk about that. And also I want to because I think now that you gave us the definitions, I think some people might not know who they are, right? There's some, I feel
They
like
don't.
there's some modern or some folks pretending to be modern when they're not really modern, when they're more traditional, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, and like, let's lose that Cheesecake Factory, for example. I knew a young lady was talking about, yeah, I agree with this list, blah, blah, blah. And then, but at one point she's talking about going 50-50. And then at another point she's talking about staying at home. Like, I don't think you know whether you a modern or traditional woman because a modern woman wouldn't be talking about staying at home taking care of all my bills that like she'd be saying let's go 50-50, right? Like I don't know, so like this list confuses me in many different ways because I feel like everybody's throwing their 2 cents in, yeah, talk about, yeah, this is it. uh And I'm curious to know what your take is on this list. Like, what do you feel when you saw that list come out? What was your soliloquy and take on that?
And I met my wife. Our first date was coffee.
Coffee. Okay.
She's a modern woman. It was coffee.
Okay.
Coffee. Let me tell you why coffee is the best date. And so everything else on the list, I'm not going to address. Some of it makes sense. Some of it doesn't. There is a commentator on kick the coverage. Who's from Indianapolis, Charlie Arnott.
Yeah.
She did the list, and I did a
Yeah.
reaction video on TMG Reacts for it on my website.
Uh-huh.
So with that, she agreed with some things. One thing she said that's funny: sporting event. If someone takes me to the Super Bowl, we're probably getting married. I was like,
Ah!
dang, Charlie. She was like, you take me to the Super Bowl, we're married. But so some of the things on the list are just personal preference, but some of it's also clickbait. So let's just be honest. So
Mhm.
my wife and I, our first date was coffee. Why does coffee work well?
Mhm.
Ladies, coffee gives you an out. Every
Yeah.
man that you should be entertaining as a modern woman can afford a $17 frappe latte, almond milk, soy decaf, whatever you
Jeez,
drink.
is that the price of coffee these days? What kind of
You
latte
know,
you drinking?
she got to get
$17?
that. She got to get a refresher, and she got to get a scone. So she gonna get all that $17. Okay, every guy can afford that. It also builds
Okay.
in a break for you. Every woman, when you're getting to know a guy, it used to be back in the day, they would have built-in break opportunities. So even
Yeah.
when cell phones weren't around, they could have a friend down the street at the restaurant come in and fake an emergency, give them a look. She would give them a nod, and her friend would keep walking. But if she gave
Mhm.
her another nod, she'd be like, hey, so sorry, I got to get you out of here. Coffee gives you a break because any man that a modern woman is entertaining has a career. He's busy too.
Mhm.
So have
Mhm.
coffee, make it on a Saturday. Oh my God, that's so great. Saturday at 9:30 and make a plan for 11:30. And then
Mhm.
when you leave, you have a time built in there. And if it ends early because you're not vibing, then you can leave early and you ain't got to think about him anymore. Why does
Mhm.
coffee work for the modern man? For all the reasons I just stated, but also second, it takes
Mhm.
the pressure off of this list.
Mhm.
You don't, men need to know what the payoff of any investment is going to be, ladies. So if I got to
Mhm.
come through with Il Molino's or Red Rooster with you today,
Mhm.
this is when men come with what they call the entitlement. All right, so if we doing this, I know we're gonna be going somewhere later. I don't agree with it,
Yeah.
but that's just what the market has decided is the case. So by coming with a coffee date, by coming with
Mhm.
a recreational activity, it allows you to get to know each other. Now the other problem with all of this is they not getting to know each other on these coffee dates. The
Mhm.
women on that created this list are already on the dating apps and social media, and they've been DMing for 2 weeks. They've been
Mhm.
DMing 6 guys, and the 6 guys are all saying different things. One doesn't live in her city, but when she gonna get flued out, and he gonna take
Right.
her to the restaurant of his choice. I'm gonna take you to this Mediterranean restaurant, and it's gonna be good. So when she meets Steve, and Steve is now graduated from God and Modern Man, and he's like, I gotta take you where? I gotta take you to
Right.
Santorini's for dinner? Yeah, we gotta go to Santorini's for dinner. Be like, I don't know you yet. Like, we don't know each other for me to be making that
Uh-huh.
type of investment. And I wouldn't want my daughter, my cousin, my
Uh-huh.
sister making that demand on somebody she don't know.
Yeah.
Now, third date, fourth date, even second date in most instances, I agree. My favorite, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. If anyone knows about the steakhouse, it's St. Elmo Steakhouse. They have two
Mhm.
other brands, 1933 and Harry and Izzy's. Harry and Izzy's is an appropriate second date for someone you're truly trying to get to know, especially a dinner.
Mm. Is that where
But
you
a first date,
took your wife to? Well, not wife, but is it
yeah.
wife?
So,
Okay.
yeah, wife, yeah,
Okay.
wife,
I did.
my wife.
I couldn't
No,
remember
our
if
second
caught it
date,
right.
no, our first date was coffee. Our second date was dinner. It was like what's it? It's like one of those gala events. And
Uh-huh.
then our
Wait, you
third
took her to a
date,
gala event?
yeah,
Okay.
she's a modern woman. I had to go. I mean, people that know that she stood up and got an award at one of the things when we were first dating. I was like, am I dating Olivia Pope? What do you mean you got an award? And I was like, oh, this is different. I cut the roster loose. I tell her this all the time. I tell anybody, I cut the roster loose after that. Then I was like, oh, I'm done. Y'all can go.
Right.
The rest of y'all can go. Y'all too basic. I
Like,
need this
what
one here.
was
I'm
she
gonna have
like the same way the second time she saw your presence and essence of how you maneuvered in the gala? Was she like, okay, I
no,
could,
no. She, I think that helped, but for her, she would have to tell me what I think about it. No, I'm just kidding. But for from her standpoint, the kickoff for me, and this is the difference between men and the other versions of men. I
right,
told her, hey, just want to let you know, you and I go together now. I said go together. Everybody on the, I said go together. Her friends will validate. I said that. I said we go together now. You got 2 weeks to cut them little jokers that you lunching with, that you
uh,
friending with, that you having a drink with. You got 2 weeks. Cut them loose. We go together now. We're official in
uh,
November. To say it was November. And she told
right.
me, I don't know if I want to do that. She called her friend. And her friend was like, girl, you know you want to do that. You've been talking about that boy for the last 3 months. You know you want to be in a relationship with him. And she was like, well, I guess you're right. I guess we go together. Yeah, we go together now. So, and we'll
Okay.
just be down the road of life together. You gotta get out the way. Like, I told her, I
Right.
didn't wait for her, men and
Uh,
boys and city boys and males. I didn't wait for her to ask, what are we? I told her what we were, because that's what men
right.
do.
I'm curious to know what this what she felt the obstacle was at that time and frame, or if there
The
was an
obstacle
obstacle.
was what we've been talking about. She was with a male, and I had to overcome the male mentality. I call it the male mentality in the book.
Okay.
And she had a string of males, and she didn't understand why she was frustrated in a relationship. Of course, you're dealing with a
Uh,
bunch of males, and you descended to modern womanhood. You
right.
can't bring a male along with you. It just doesn't work.
So did she perceive you as like that same male energy that
Didn't
these
have
males
anything.
she's dealing
Nope,
with?
it didn't have anything to do with me. That's the
Okay.
thing. When you start talking about a modern woman, it ain't got nothing to do with you. She don't know me. I was up against the ghost of males past, city boys past.
Mhm.
So anything that gave a hint of that would cause skepticism. That's why I say
Gotcha.
when I wrote the book, I wanted people to understand who they were and what they
Uh-huh.
qualify for. Because if
Right.
you know who you are, know what you want, and know what you qualify for, you can help. You can sail through that. It didn't bother me.
Right.
I didn't care. I was like, whatever. That's them. That's those dudes.
Yeah,
Any
I'm
other
not saying it
person?
bothered you, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, you know how we were talking about how sometimes
Hmm.
you have to help the other person overcome
Hmm.
the insecurities of the things that uh other folks have put on them through their dating.
Yeah.
So like did you have to help her overcome, I guess, those
Like, I will tell you this, ladies. He read down my credentials. None of that stuff mattered.
mm.
No, none of it mattered. She was like, let me see. Yeah, and all of the ladies who are watching and listening right now, they have said that too. Let me see if you really a senior director. Let me see if you really got a book.
Right.
Let me see if you really divorced.
Right.
Let me see if you really got your own place. I said, okay, my resume is impeccable. I'm good. Go ahead. Just go ahead and waste your own time. I'm good. And then when
Right.
it comes time to make the decision, it's like decision's been made. Where are you? Where do you stand? And she has
Right.
to respond in kind. Yeah.
So what would you say was the turning point in the dating relationship where all of that you'll see came down and then like, all right, this the one.
Men should only require 6 months to know. So we were at a 6 month period.
Mm-hmm.
So it was what I decided 4 months in was I'm going to give this a shot. And then the most important thing, I believe that I'm ready. I think I
Mm-hmm.
understand what she needs at this time. And I want to see this through. Most people don't know this. I had a job offer in another state during that time period. And I
Mm-hmm.
told them no. I was on an interview, a panel interview on call. This was pre Zoom, so it was one of the
Mm-hmm.
go to meetings. And I told them, I was like, hey guys, I'm going to have to take my name out of the hat. They were like, why? And I was like, I've got a relationship with someone. She can't leave. So I don't want to put you in a situation where I have to commute. And they
Mm-hmm.
respected it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell her that until probably that next summer. I was like, oh yeah, I had a job offer. What? Why didn't you take it? Because her message was, I would have took it. And just see. No, no, mm-mm. No. But the
And-
turning point for me was in 6 months. I knew,
mhm,
and the turning point was it was what would be who am I? What do I want? What I qualify for? And what does she want from me? And I knew the answer to all four of those. So it was really just a test of seeing each other through the four seasons. What I say? The four
Right.
seasons being you got to see each other through winter, you got to see each other
Right.
through spring, summer, and a fall season in order to identify how people will react over the next 40 years or so.
Right. You know, the other thing that comes to mind to me when I'm talking to you, like I love that you did the work, so you knew exactly who you were in this stage and what you needed and what that looked like. um I don't think we dived enough into like what does a person have to do the work? Like what are some key things that you did to do the work to help you get to, that next stage?
I'll say the first thing that is real is everyone needs to get therapy. If you have an emotional trauma from
Mhm.
childhood, young adulthood that you have not overcome that keeps being a thorn in your side, you have to go seek professional help. That is a licensed
Mhm.
and certified therapist or counselor in your area. Don't just get someone who's on YouTube giving you shorts. Get someone and get in and do the work for 6 months. That's
Mhm.
the first thing. Second thing is, I believe you have to work on, if you're a man, a high value skill.
Mhm.
Do not, and I repeat, do not think that you're going to get a great relationship outcome without finance. And finance in our
Mhm.
society comes through your ability to earn an income. There are
Mhm.
high value skills, 4 million jobs that are open today. And these aren't ghost jobs that everybody keep applying to on LinkedIn. Real
Mhm.
jobs that pay anywhere between 75 to $120,000 that require 6 months of training. Go work on
Mhm.
a high value skill. That's why I say, if anyone's heard me before, 18 to 33 men, put your head down, work on your high
Mhm.
value skill, get your first promotion, get your second promotion, get your first team assignment, then look at the market. If you've
Mhm.
been working on yourself for a 15-year period, you're not going to waste time in the dating world. Too many guys are wasting time dating when they're not ready for the long term commitment. And most
Mhm.
women would prefer to be on a coffee date with a guy who spent the last 15 years working on himself professionally and
Mhm.
mentally than someone
Mhm.
who's been playing around,
Yeah. So,
because she's not going to be able to come with the foolish discussion that she's
yeah.
had to endure over the last 20 years.
Yeah. I like that.
And so
So,
those are two things. So therapy, high value skill. And then for women, I like to say that if you're someone, if once you get therapy, I'll assume that you have the education, because the numbers support that more women across all socioeconomic and racial profiles are higher educated
mhm.
and they're more enrolled than the men in their same group. Make sure that you're also working on the things that it would take to be a wife.
Mhm.
Don't forsake the things of tradition because your mama and your auntie and your cousin and your friend all had one bad experience. Because the
Mm.
things that it'll take once you meet this guy who's 33 now and you're 30, he's going to also be looking for someone who, and this is the negative talking point that the market hates: fit, feminine, submissive, cooperative. Someone who is nurturing, someone who can take care of a home, someone who's not afraid to take care of kids, someone who is not afraid to take care of you.
Mhm.
Don't forsake that over that 15-year period on the pursuit of education, because in order to get the man, it's going to be one thing. To keep him is going to be these other things. And you're either
Mm.
going to have to learn it
Mhm.
on the job, or you're going to have to be spending the time developing it. And the man that you want he's probably not going to say it. Modern man's not going to say it because he already knows how you are. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you need to be working over a time period developing those skills and not forsaking.
Right. Two things that come to mind in that is like when I'm assuming that you would say the keys to some of your success was therapy and then that high level skill that
Mm-hmm,
helped create the foundation.
mm-hmm.
Um in the black community, whew, therapy is a supercharged word for us because some of us don't believe in therapy. Um
Right.
and I mean I've seen it changing more now and then. How do you how do you get, I guess you can't get people, I mean, we're how do we get normalized therapy in our black community so that this could be a normal
So
conversation?
So in the black community, what we have to acknowledge is why we didn't have therapy. We didn't have access to it for
Mhm.
decades. We just recently started to acknowledge mental health as an issue. If you grew up in a
Mhm.
two-parent household that was black or a single-parent black household, there was no therapy. You had your
Mhm.
mama had the beauty salon. Your daddy had the barbershop. They had the church, and then they had the fraternity or their friends. Those were the places you got your insight. That's why everybody in the community knew everybody's business because the beauty
Mm-hmm.
shop, the barbershop, the church, and then your friend group and your circle all talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the access to it and corporations and healthcare providers making sure that there's more access to it, there is no
Mm-hmm.
excuse. Most healthcare plans by any employee
Mm-hmm.
covers mental health. They give you
Nice.
15 to 16 sessions. That covers a 6 month period that I talk about. Take it
Nice.
and go talk to someone. And if you're in your therapy sessions for 2 months and you don't like your therapist, try another one.
Yeah.
But in order to get the community moved down the line, there has to be an awakening of individuals. It's not going to be a group thing. It's going to be individuals having success and then talking about it to a larger
Mm-hmm.
audience so that we can start seeing the examples of why it's valuable.
Nah,
And then I
I
also
love
say, I was like, people need, at a minimum, the people need to go back to church. The church is down, especially the black church. The
it.
church, the church is down on membership.
Yeah.
The membership, the people who profess to be Christian, is down year
Uh,
over year.
uh, like that's a whole nother
Yeah, that's
podcast.
another
I got
podcast.
that's I was like, man, we might go. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. Um, Glenn, my man, I love this conversation. I love the book. I love what you're doing.
Thank
You've
you.
achieved a lot in both your professional and personal life. Um, what's some advice that you have for aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders who are really trying? You know, they've been out here single. They got their career together, and they're trying to achieve that next level of success by finding a partner in life. What's some
Mhm.
advice you would give to them?
Yeah,
Besides,
the
I
advice
know
that
we're gonna tell them go buy the book, but give us some
no,
sounding
no,
advice.
no. I'm assuming they're going to buy the book, but I'll say that for someone who's finding the professional success in the audience, it is you are not crazy. It is hard for you to find the right person. It's supposed to
Mhm,
be hard, and no one will admit that because it's supposed to be rare. So once you recognize that it's supposed to be hard and it's supposed to be rare, you recognize that it's like a job. I have to
mhm,
build up my skills. So the best way that I can say that is based on the four pillars of what I believe. You have to first know who you are. Know
mhm,
who you are and where you are in your career and where you are in your relationship. This is what I did in the past that didn't work. I'm not going to repeat that mistake. Once
mhm,
you know who you are, then you say what you want. I want a partner that's 50-50. I want a man or a woman that's going to be traditional. I want someone who's high value, who's ascended past all of the petty. If that's
mhm,
who you are and what you want, then you have to take the self assessment. Do I qualify for that? I know you got your
mhm,
career together. I know you made $1.5 million with your business last year, but do you qualify for the type of man or woman that you're saying you want? Once you then can identify and say, I know who I am, know what I want, know what I qualify for, you have to start doing the selfless thing. What
mhm,
does that person want from me? And
mhm,
that's where the busy professional and successful entrepreneur struggle. They have to
mhm,
take self out of it and consider the other party. And when you
mhm,
consider the other party the way you consider your market, your client, your prospect list, your
mhm,
competitors, you will start to get the great dating outcome that you want. And an outcome we look for is one man, one woman, long term committed relationship with marriage, children, and legacy. And when
nice.
you say that you want that, you will now have the outcome you always
I love it. Glenn, this has been an absolute pleasure. Man, I can't wait for I have a feeling there's a part two to this book coming.
want. We got part two.
And
It's part one and two. I have two
oh, part
parts.
one and two. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I got two books. They both are one is
Okay.
purple and one is blue. So
Okay.
whenever if you see them both, that's not the same book. And if
Okay.
you are one of the few people who got the first original, it's gray and red. I don't know how that one got out there, but
Look.
that one is hard to get. That's a
Look,
collector's item.
look, here we go. Like it's like the Matrix. You taking the purple pill, the blue pill, the red.
Yeah, I'm taking one of them. One's purple,
Take it
one's
all,
blue.
take it all. All right, Glenn. So let's close out like this, man. This has been
Mhm.
a pleasure. How can my listeners connect with you for more
Yeah.
insights? Where can they get the book?
Mhm.
What else you got coming up? How can we be in tune with what you doing?
Make sure you guys connect with me. I am TMG Book Series on Instagram, YouTube. Facebook, and TikTok. TikTok, we put
Mhm.
out little shorts from clips like this that people seem to love. I don't understand it, but whatever. TMG book series is our website, and then also at glennsandifer.com. If
Uh,
you have any questions about anything related to the business, those are places you can get it. The book is available on Amazon, parts one and part two,
mhm.
available. How to Get Great Dating Outcome in a Modern World. Purple is part one, Blue is part two. And then it's also available on Kindle and the Audible app. If you're
All
someone
right.
who's really high end and you have Apple Books and Google Play Books, the books are also available there as well for consumption.
Nice. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And don't worry if you're driving. I'm gonna put all those. I'm gonna get the links from Glenn and put all those links
Mhm.
in the show notes, so it's just easily one click, so you can go there and get the book, get the Audible, whatever your platform is. Glenn, it's been a pleasure again. I
Thank you,
appreciate you. I
brother.
salute you, brother, and I can't wait to have you on. We might have to go down the mental health for the church route next time, but I didn't want to do a
Woo!
I didn't want to do a deep dive today, but
Woo!
I was like, ooh.
You gonna have TD Jakes on us.
We invite him too to come to the show if he want to have a little
You
debate
better.
off.
It ain't a debate with TD Jakes. He gonna come in and there's a lily in the valley, and that lily needed water. And sometimes
Oh
God
boy,
puts the lily without water, and then everybody gonna go crazy.
you too much. All right, folks, this has been another episode of Rise Urban Nation, and we'll catch you on the next time.